Welcome to another Fandomain with yours truly and Mr. Paul Coleman. How do you do, sir?
Not bad. While I was waiting, I glued some glitter to my face, and if you turn the lights off and shine a light on me, I look like a disco ball. Observe. Awesome, or what?
It sparkles! First things first, by now, Captain America Civil War will have decimated the box office, so it is time to reveal the results of the BCB Civil War allegiance. We have...
Ta-da!
2 people for Team Iron Man.
Ooh, heckle, hiss.
We have no people for Team Captain America.
I cry inside. Seriously, did we not vote?
No.
No. Wait, let's forge the results now.
Well, if we had our votes, it's a draw, so hooray. It's been a comprehensive study, completely unscientific and hella legit. But the thing is, Captain America Civil War was released in the same weekend as one of the first projects we're going to talk about today, and that is the Ratchet Clank feature film. Yes, because in this episode of the Fandomain we are focusing on video game films for this year. So Ratchet & Clank's just been released. Now, have you played any of the games?
I played the first one many a moon ago when I was, I think it was in high school when it started, didn't want we?
Yes, yeah. The first game came out in 2002. I've picked up the HD remasters of the original trilogy, but finally now, after umpteen sequels across 3 generations of console, we're finally getting a movie adaptation of the original game. And I feel it's worth talking about because the primary original voice actors of the franchise are back in their roles. So we've got Jim Ward as Captain Quark, David Kay as Clank the robot, and James Arnold Taylor as Ratchet. See, this I feel is big news because original voice actors coming back are rarely seen in movie adaptations of any cartoony property. See, the thing is, Wallace and Gromit, SpongeBob SquarePants and Transformers are the only things that come to mind when we're talking about original actors coming back for the big screen versions of whatever the franchise is. And because of that, the studios had to hire bigger names for other roles to make them have more of an attractive appeal. But is it scientifically proven to work? Discuss. In case of Ratchet & Clank, we have the star power of Rosario Dawson, who needs no introduction. We have John Goodman, as well as Sylvester Stallone. But the thing is, Kevin Michael Richardson actually reprised his regular role as Chairman Drek for the film, but he was quietly replaced by Paul Giamatti. It sounds like a crappy move, but this is unfortunately expected in the world of voice acting. Funny thing is, according to IMDb, Giamatti's paycheck was accidentally mailed to Kevin Michael Richardson, so haha.
That's what he gets for that really hammy Russian accent in the Amazing Spider-Man. I kill you until you die.
Now the thing is, Ratchet & Clank co-star James Arnold Taylor is familiar with this kind of manoeuvre, since we know of at least 2 occasions where this has happened to him for big movies. More recently, he reprised his role of Obi-Wan Kenobi for that brief line in The Force Awakens, before they grabbed Ewan McGregor at the very last minute, which is kind of fair enough, because, the screen versions, but since Alec Guinness was in there too, it would have been perfect to use a mix of all 3, wouldn't it, really?
Yeah, definitely.
And it wouldn't have ignored the extended elements of canon that is the Clone Wars and Rebels. So... See, another case of vocal replacement is, we mentioned Transformers earlier. The second film, Revenge of the Fallen, he actually did the voice of the Fallen. He's actually told this tale a few times, but after he was paid and everything, they decided a star name. Now, I don't know about you, but who the heck is Tony Todd anyway?
Wasn't he in Final Destination, and wasn't he Candyman?
This is the point. The fact he was brought in as a big name.
No, it's not a big name.
Exactly.
It's a well-reputed name.
But the thing is, going back to Ratchet & Clank, it may just be me, but I'm more familiar with Kevin Michael Richardson than Paul Giamatti. Because Richardson is one of these regular voice actors like Wally Wingate, Fred Tatasciore, Nolan North, Josh Keaton, that's in every single thing that requires voice acting.
Lord Keaton, he's doing Spider-Man at the moment, isn't he?
I think he is. Going back to James Arnold Taylor again. The thing is, of course, as this is a video game movie special, we have to mention the fact that for Transformers Revenge of the Fallen, they actually kept James Arnold Taylor's role as the Fallen in the game and the movie.
But that's at least we got his voice as the Fallen.
Yeah, so considering what our topic's now, let me tell you something about irony. Actually, let me tell you something about these topics as a whole. The very first Ratchet & Clank game is the only game of the series where James Arnold Taylor was not Ratchet.
Really?
Yeah, because of Ratchet's voice in the original game. When I first played it, I thought, yay, that's him. But it wasn't. But the thing is, you can tell why James Arnold Taylor was brought on, because it's a similar kind of voice.
Yeah.
And because he was brought on for the follow-ups, Ratchet has become synonymous with James Arnold Taylor himself. And this movie that's coming out is a retelling of that original story.
Ooh.
And as well as that, we're getting a brand new Ratchet & Clank game that is based on the movie. So we're getting an adaptation of an adaptation.
I assume the game based on the movie, based on the game, will just be containing elements of the movie that aren't seen in the original game.
More or less. Base it more on what's in the film than what was in the original game.
Well, we do tend to have that with most movies based on the video games, don't we?
Yeah.
I mean, the Amazing Spider-Man games were set after the movie.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I'm going to tell you something really exciting now. I actually tweeted James Arnold Taylor that this episode was happening, and I asked him for a quote.
Did you get a quote?
I got a quote. He said to me, and I quote from the quote...
The quote of the quotes.
Yeah, and here's where I try to do my best James Arnold Taylor impression, which is an irony in itself that he will love. I just hope everyone gets out to see it opening weekend. It'll really help the franchise if the box office is good. Thanks, Adam.
That is brilliant. I have to. That was a pretty good impression as well.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Whilst we're on the fella, go check out James Arnold Taylor's one-man show, Talking to Myself. Plenty of versions of it on YouTube, and that's where he tells his story and performs over 150 voices. It is really recommended. Cannot state that enough.
To the internet!
And as we've mentioned earlier, Ratchet & Clank is out now, so go see, same classic 90s goofy level of Jak and Daxter, Rayman and Crash Bandicoot. So, fun for all the family. Hooray! Alright, on to the next thing.
It's a me, Mario! Do-do-do-do-do-do.
Something a little less family-friendly, but still involving families in a very large sense. Warcraft! Directed by Duncan Jones, who did Moon and Source Code, and starring, amongst others, Paula Patton, who was in Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, Dominic Cooper, who's played Howard Stark in Captain America the First Avenger, plus Agent Carter. We've got Clancy Brown, who's... another voiced actor who's basically been in everything, and probably most famous for being the villain in Highlander, as well as Mr. Krabs from SpongeBob. And we have Ruth Negga as well, who was in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. for the first 2 seasons, and Mr. Robert Kaczynski, who was in Pacific Rim. How can you say no? And he plays an orc called Ogrim Doomhammer. What do you think he's got in his hand?
A hammer of doom? The names of characters in Warcraft are brilliant.
They are very clear. Now, I haven't played any Warcraft, so I'm quite new to the whole thing. Have you played any Warcraft at all?
It's one of them ones that I've always looked at and thought, yes, I should play, but I have an addiction to getting addicted to things quite easily.
Yeah.
Like I've just recently become quite addicted to playing Magic: The Gathering.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's basically Warcraft in card form.
That's card Warcraft.
It's Cardcraft. Wait a minute.
I have to say, from what I've heard, it is an addictive game because
there's so much in it.
It's an epic scale.
Yeah, but this is the thing. At the heart of the game, obviously, is humans versus orcs. But the challenge, like we're just mentioning now, is getting a cinematic story from a game that's known for being very open world. But the thing is, Kaczynski very eloquently condensed the essence of the plot into a single tweet. And he said, and I quote from a quote, once again, about the conflict, is that it's humans versus orcs told from the perspective that war is the villain. I like that. See, of course, as per the title, war is the core of the story. But the more interesting side of the plot of the film is that the humans and orcs aren't just respective heroes and villains. There's no one or the other. Both sides have heroic and villainous characters, which means it isn't just man versus monster, which can be good, but obviously you want something a little more in-depth sometimes. And it's not just for simple, I hate you reasons either. The orcs, out of desperation and a need for survival, have had to leave their homeland, which brings them to the land of the humans, which in turn could be destructive for them. Spot the migrant crisis parallels, More recently, the director Duncan Jones and Robert Kaczynski attended a huge gaming expo in Boston, Massachusetts, to talk more about the movie. And challenge for you, try explaining this sentence to someone in 2003. PAX East did a Twitch live stream of a Warcraft panel with Duncan Jones and Robert Kaczynski.
Okay.
Exactly. And there are a couple of points that I really found, fascinating about it. Obviously, they discuss the insights of the movie, in particular the balance of practical and CGI effects, which, of course, is a hot topic due to The Force Awakens. It really seems to be riding the line of cutting-edge CGI in a world as realistic as possible. See, that's something I think Peter Jackson wanted to achieve in the Hobbit trilogy, but arguably went a bit too far and ended up with glossy oil paintings.
The scenery in The Hobbit, it was really beautiful. It had some beautiful scenery. I just wish they had the orcs like they did in the original Lord of the Rings movie.
This is what I mean, because as gorgeous as the Hobbit trilogy is, I mean, look at King Thranduil, heavenly. When you compare it to the Lord of the Rings trilogy, there's a very, very stark difference between the whole look of the movies. I mean, the Lord of the Rings, realistic, but the Hobbit movies, they look more artistic, so it takes away some of that natural warmth. I say that not as a complaint, because obviously it's just a different style, really. But this is the thing, there's lots about Warcraft to digest. And another thing I remember reading is that they created inside a big soundstage a multi-acre woodland. It seemed like you could get lost in it. There was so much depth to that set. And that's the kind of contrast between practical and CGI that we're talking about. Because you have these glorious set pieces with, cutting-edge CGI orcs in it as well. So it just sounds like we've got the best of both worlds here. But yeah, like I mentioned, I was never into Warcraft. I just knew about, and like you say, that's kind of your deal as well with it. But I read a load of interviews and behind-the-scenes stuff. As soon as I finished reading all that, I was just sat there thinking, this actually might be worth seeing. Colour me in. Especially now, leading up to the release, we're getting more and more details coming out. And for me, it's just about how much care and attention and effort they're putting into this for the authenticity of the world, whilst keeping a wide audience appeal. And I actually noted that to Duncan Jones on Twitter, and he basically said, well, that's the end. So, hooray.
This is what I like about the World of Warcraft movie. Like The Force Awakens, it's paying tribute to the original material. It's a love letter to the original fans.
Yeah.
Like what Spectre was to James Bond original movies, it was a love letter to them.
And Jurassic World as well.
Even Jurassic World and Guardians of the Galaxy was a love letter to those fans who kept liking the original and just said, look, this is for you guys. You guys have made this possible. You bought the comic. Here you can have your CGI raccoon. You can have the intro that you know you want. And you can go, I'm on a feeling, I'm bad and bad.
It's just so brilliant when they do that. And,
yeah.
And of course, for people like me, for some of these things, bringing new people aboard saying, it's for everyone, so enjoy the ride. So yeah, I'm quite excited for Warcraft.
I am as well.
It looks like an epic spectacle to behold. And it will be out on the 30th of May in the UK.
Ooh, very close timing.
Exactly. Which is why you're listening to this episode right now. Because contrary to popular belief, I sometimes plan these things.
He does, I know. I get the footnotes every day. We have monthly meetings about our planning.
You get notes about feet as well.
Yes, cheesy or otherwise.
But anyway, that's just in the near future. Further down the road this year, we have the third video game movie of the year, which I am extremely excited for. Arguably, we are too excited for. Assassin's Creed.
The yearly Assassin's Creed release is hitting the big screen.
Exactly. Now, we got this announcement from Ubisoft earlier this year, didn't we, that they weren't going to put a major flagship game out this year, and I was absolutely fine with that because, you need a break every so often, don't you? And the last time we had a break was before... Yeah, first game came out in 2007. Number 2 was 2 years later, yes. 2009. Then Brotherhood in 2010.
And then Assassin's Creed Revelations.
Yes, 2011. And then 3 in 2012.
And then we had Assassin's Creed 4.
Yes, 2013 it was 4 Black Flag.
Which is still one of my favourites.
14 was Unity and Rogue. And 15, the last major release just gone, Assassin's Creed Syndicate, which also seems to be a brilliant game to have a break from the series on. But that's the thing, because we're finally getting a break from the regular yearly release, it makes all the sense in the world. Because it's not just a chance for Ubisoft to really get their rebrand going, to put more effort into 2017's release, to start a new generation of Assassin's Creed games, but it also leaves this year to fully focus on the film that's coming out, which, like we say, cannot wait for.
I know. From what we've heard so far, and what we've seen of the promotional stills at this moment in time, when this recording is, it looks fantastic.
It does. I mean, unlike Ratchet and Clank, Assassin's Creed, the film, is not an adaptation of the original game story, which, I'm so relieved about, because the thing is, it was reported by Ubisoft, the producers of the games. They had primary creative control over the film, which, no doubt had a major hand in giving the film its own original story and setting it within the same canon of the games. So it makes perfect sense, doesn't it? Because Ubisoft have gone to great lengths to make Assassin's Creed a multimedia format experience. Games with both console and mobile, comics, short films, both live action and animated, novels, and this feature film is just another outlet. In a sense, this is the groundbreaking thing about this film.
From what I've seen of Ubisoft's capability of film, particularly through Assassin's Creed Lineage, which was a build-up series that they released on YouTube and on the Ubisoft website before Assassin's Creed 2, they can handle it very well. They know what they're doing. They know what makes a spectacle. So, with this unique entry into the franchise, we're going to be getting an experience that will rival, arguably, some of the games, hopefully.
Indeed.
As you've mentioned, I'm glad they're keeping it in the same universe, because we've been aware throughout the first games with Desmond that there have been other test subjects. Desmond is test subject 17. What happened to subject 16, we know about. What about 1 through 15? And what has happened?
We kind of have hints towards some of the others. Not all of them, but some of the others. Aveline de Grandpré from Assassin's Creed Liberation, she is the ancestor of subject 1.
And what I want to know is what has happened since, obviously, Desmond.
Yeah, there's obviously a lot to tell in the modern day settings for the current games at the moment, which is all set at Abstergo Entertainment, which is basically Ubisoft making a reference to itself. It's gone really meta, it was kind of meta to begin with, because you're playing a game and every time it pulls you out of the animus, it's basically telling you to take a break from the game.
You've been playing for 6 hours on the trot. You need to take a break, guys.
Which I found really, really funny. When I started playing the first game, but as you say, they know what they're doing, and I think the key thing is they know how to translate stories in different mediums, because obviously when you tell a story through a video game, it's different for how you tell it through a comic book, through a novel, through a feature film, short film, whatever. There are all these different ways, which is why a lot of adaptations don't really work that well, because they can basically shove the comic on screen, which isn't always the best route, for example.
What I think is helping Assassin's Creed is that behind the helm of it, the producers are fans of the series. The lead actor, Michael Fassbender, is a fan of the series.
A recent fan, though, because he hadn't played the games before he was cast. So, like when Marvel casts new actors for their projects who don't really know much about the character or the story or the film, they throw all the comic books at them, to say, do your research! And that's basically what Ubisoft did to Michael Fassbender. They threw all the games in, like Frisbees.
And as soon as he's played them, he's a fan like many of us are. Yeah. I mean, there's nothing more entertaining than what I'm sure we're about to witness of Michael Fassbender leaping from buildings going, stabby, stabby!
Also, a hot topic now is concerns about casting people of ethnicities different to what the characters were supposed to be in adaptations. So when I first heard about Michael Fassbender being in Assassin's Creed, I really thought, hang on, if they're doing an adaptation of the first game, he looks nothing like a Desmond Miles kind of person, or an Italian, or he doesn't look Middle Eastern. That's the most important thing, because Altair Ibn Lahad is Middle Eastern, obviously. And I thought, thing is with Fassbender, he looks like he is. He looks German. He looks Irish. I mean, of course, this is for you, Holly. You can see why they cast him, because he's hot stuff. But the thing is, I thought it was quite apt as well, because who else would you want in a hooded garment? That jawline, though, But now, because it's a completely original story, everything's just fit into place so perfectly. But yeah, speaking about the production, again, they've gone to great lengths to ensure, authenticity, both historically in regards to the essence of the franchise, as well as keeping in mind that video game adaptations have proven, shall we say, very poor in the past. More on that story later. But there was an Empire interview with Michael Fassbender. Some arguably incredible reports have come from the production, including very little green screen, which is always good.
Positive.
Therefore, very little CGI. Probably the only CGI we'll get is to do with the Animus itself. probably have memory corridors, like the last rites, the confession stuff. There have been reports of stunt folk running across buildings in Malta, basically parkouring the heck out of all buildings, and the icing on the proverbial cake, which is not a lie because we're not talking about Portal, an actual 120-foot leap of faith that was performed for the film.
Wow.
The report could not stress enough how amazing that was to witness, and I cannot wait to see that on screen.
It's going to be a spectacle.
It's going to be what they call the money shot.
I reckon that'll appear in one of the trailers.
Probably, yeah. Speaking of which, have you heard rumblings of a trailer coming soon?
There have been tremendous rumblings in East Prussia, but that could be to do with the sausages. But rumour mill is spinning rife. GameCon Expos have had the trailer already.
Right.
They've already had it. Obviously, this has been under very, very sealed rooms, where a punishment involved in actually revealing details of this trailer involved being burnt at the stake, like what they will do in the 15th century Spain, where it's being set, just to really make sure that it's hammered home. But early reaction has been incredibly popular, and it's had some pretty much standing ovations.
Nice.
Rumour mill spinning wise, it's looking like we're going to get it in May, probably the back end, to build up for the summer. Kind of marketing material for the winter season.
I won't be surprised. I would expect to see it, because 20th Century Fox is the distributor, I wouldn't be surprised if it was attached to X-Men Apocalypse.
Yeah.
Now, if you're interested, Assassin's Creed, directed by Justin Kurzel, obviously with it starring Michael and Marion Cotillard, it's basically reuniting the main guys from Macbeth that was released last year. The Scottish play. And since that film had good write-ups last year, that's also very promising for Assassin's Creed.
And as a viewer of Macbeth, I have to say that Michael Fassbender in the title role of the Scottish play was absolutely fantastic. And if there's anything to be said about his performance in action scenes and stunt scenes and with medieval style fighting combat, yeah, you guys are in for a treat.
Well, going by the time period, especially that whole medieval thing, you can see why they brought back him, Marion, and Justin Kurzel for Assassin's Creed. In the world of, movie making, it's a no-brainer. Hey, a lot of movie making's a no-brainer. Am I right? Huh?
So when you there,
thank you, I'm here all week. But yeah, so to sum it up, if you don't know, Fassbender plays a convict called Callum Lynch, and his ancestor is called Aguilar de Nerja, a Spanish assassin during like you mentioned, the 15th century, during the time of the Inquisitors, which was very unexpected.
Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition!
Thank you.
Diabolical acting, I apologise.
Wait till you have to pay for it, honey. But the thing is, due to the 15th century, due to this time period, it's rumoured, we haven't heard anything official so far, and if there is, obviously they don't want it leaking, but it's rumoured that we may have a reference, even a cameo, from the Italiano Assassino Ezio Auditore da Firenze.
Or maybe his father, or Rodrigo Borgia.
Yes, because...
Spaniard. Got it! Sussed it! I know the movie plot. This is why the Spaniard went to Italy, 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 da 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 da. I know the plot. I've rumbled Ubisoft.
Can you do that again without the gloating?
No.
So what you're saying is...
I'm thinking Rodrigo Borgia's excuse for leaving to go to Italy to try and gain power.
There may be a connection. There very well may be a connection. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if there wasn't, because with it being an original story, obviously for fan service at least, they've got to have some kind of connection. It is too close to Renaissance Italy not to have the connection.
I think we might get some name drops of Desmond Miles in there as well.
In the modern day setting. I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah. Again. So, yes, the film Assassin's Creed will be out the 30th of December to finish the year off. But, as Jerry Springer would say, here's my final thought, if you will. Let's look at all these video game movies in the past. Hitman, Tomb Raider, Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat! Go!
Super Mario Brothers, Resident Evil, and many others, including the sequels. It's fairly fair to say, like we touched on earlier, poor quality has given this subgenre a poor reputation. However, I put this to you, that due to the level of quality and care and dedication put into these three films, Ratchet Clank, Warcraft, Assassin's Creed, an argument, sir, after the golden age of superheroes has arisen, and more recently the resurgence of monster movies,
we may finally get these video game movies that we've been wanting, of high quality entertainment that doesn't just make us think, oh, I did that on the video game. It's actually going to be passionate storytelling, engrossing characters, and with Assassin's Creed, additional stabby.
Yes, it's finally the dawn of the video game film. But the thing is, it opens up the potential as well. See, obviously this is more relevant to you, but then again, I may jump on board as well. But before The Hobbit started production, there was long gestating with Peter Jackson and even Guillermo del Toro at one point, a Halo film.
The thing is, Halo's doing quite good at the moment with its little TV things that it's been doing. Really interesting, but a big screen movie of Halo needs to have its own unique story. So if Assassin's Creed and if Warcraft are successful with their unique stories, then a Halo movie, potentially fitting into the Reclaimer saga that we're currently going through, could work quite well.
Well, there you go. I mean, obviously, when one of these things works again in Hollywood, it's basically a message to them saying, oh, this works, we can do more of it. And not just Halo, but the recent reinvention of Tomb Raider. There have been rumblings about a new movie adaptation of Tomb Raider.
Do it now! Do it now! I would say if they do a Tomb Raider movie, it needs to have the style of the more recent games. The Rise of the Tomb Raider was fantastic, as is the Baba Yaga content.
Yeah. Also, as Outside Xbox have pointed out, hi guys.
Hello.
They don't know who I am. I'm just desperate to get a comment on Show of the Week, you know? But, yeah, as the Outside Xbox guys have mentioned on YouTube, it would be nice for Lara Croft to do some actual tomb raiding, because there are a lot of things in the games, especially the more recent couple, that don't actually involve tomb raiding. I mean, the main story of the reboot wasn't really tomb raiding. The tombs to be raided were side puzzles. Not really.
Was the birth of Lara Croft as the character you know.
I mean, yeah, exactly. I didn't mind that too much. I mean, obviously she's an archaeologist first and foremost.
Yeah.
But the games are called Tomb Raider. It's like giving someone the name Doomhammer and not giving him a huge hammer to cause doom with.
He gets himself a little rubber hammer. Or one of them squirty flowers, like Joe had.
But it's not full of water, it's full of acid! But yeah, of course, more on the Tomb Raider adaptation and Assassin's Creed adaptation as we hear them, and of course, we'll probably have some reaction to Warcraft and Ratchet and Clank lined up soon. So stay tuned for that, and probably next episode we may talk about a recent reveal that just happened about a certain Doctor. Because congratulations to Pearl Mackie, who is playing Bill from Series 10 of Doctor Who.
Rumour mill's running around saying it may be a character from the 1980s again.
Going by the dress sense, we can certainly believe that. So yeah, go have a look at Ratchet and Clank, and when it comes out, have a look at Warcraft as well. So let's turn off the lights, get the disco ball going, and we'll see you next time on the Fandomain. You're all fired.
We hope you can throw sci-fi at the wall with us too, next time you tune into the Fandomain on BCB Radio 106.6 FM, tuned into Bradford.